Thanks for saying that. Okay. Do you want to start or do you want me to start? I'll
You
start.
start. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
welcome back to part two, everyone who's, of course, here and then who's going to be listening to the replay. You do not have, there's no requirements for this call. Nobody had to listen to part one at the beginning of October, but if they want to, they can go back and listen to the replay. If this sparks some curiosity for them and they want to go see part one. Otherwise, this is totally fine to just trust the universe that you're showing up to part two because maybe this is where your aha moments or your medicine will be. So just letting go of part one if you have any attachments to it that aren't necessary. So in part one, this is about the topic for Conscious on the Go this month was wounds and pertaining a lot to women, right? Women's wounds and the wounds that we carry. And I'll introduce myself in case you weren't in part one. My name is Dr. Barbara Schellenberg. I'm actually also a conscious parenting coach and a chiropractor, and I'm just really just unschooling mama with a lot of journeys through how our bodies work, quantum physics, uh, just the mind, body, and spirit, and whole body wellness. So that's kind of where I've spent the last 25 years. And through that, I've really come to develop a lot of different or maybe unique perceptions of trauma. And I like to explain kind of how I look at trauma to other people because it can be very helpful to them in taking these pieces and putting them into their toolbox and maybe digesting them a little bit differently. I want to give you some things to think about today. That might get you, cultivating some different, deeper meanings around just the things we tell ourselves. So, the part one was where we talked a little bit more about trauma. Okay, so I kind of laid out what my perception of trauma is and how to look at trauma. This is the part where we get to and go from wounds to wizards. Okay, we get to go from the identity of being the wounded to the identity of being the wizard. And I think a lot of
But
people, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I just want to say that they can find the recording from first time on our YouTube channel on Conscious on the Go. And there
Okay.
is I'm Conscious on the Go playlist, so they can listen to all recordings that we have.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. So all the recordings from October will be in there, correct?
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Great. Great. You've had a lot of great guests this month. So, well, thank you for having me back. Part two. So wizardry is the word that I love so much because I feel like in our lives we can really become more empowered when we are by the way, that's just my puppy. I have a little puppy here. So he's he may have some things to say. We'll see. This is my first time having him in a call where he actually makes noise because he's growing like children, right? They get but they're very, very healing beings. So I'm going to just embrace his energy with us. So the wizards have tools, right? Wizards don't live without problems, right? Wizards go to problems and magically alchemize them. So wizards are a very different frequency than like a wounded mentality would be, right? So I would love to bring that in today. We're going to bring in this idea of how do we become wizards and why would we become a wizard, right? Because if our wound is there and there's a trauma there, part of us wants to really just go back and see it and visit it, right? And there's medicine to that, to visiting it. But what I find is a lot of times we overvisit and we kind of overstay our welcome. And we hang out with it for a long time. Yes, resonate. And we ruminate with it, and we will articulate it in our verbiage with people. Like even when you start your coffee conversation, oh, um I've experienced, I had childhood trauma, or, I'm divorced of XY, how many years. And gosh, I never really figured out relationships with men, or the languaging that we use is very much ruminating and keeping that trauma in our field. But we don't really realize that. So, step one to being a wizard, I'm going to walk you through 3 steps. The first step is the step of awareness. Okay. And I'm aware right now, I am going to let him out because he's not telling me he doesn't want to be in here. I'll be right back. Okay. So, yes, he was literally like at the door, like, get me out. I'm like, okay, 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 you're out. He wants to go see my daughter. Okay. So, awareness of how much we're bringing up the dialogue, awareness of the dialogue we're using. And even it doesn't matter how many years we've been doing this work and how many years you've been in conscious awareness and evolution, you will find them. They're going to be hidden little, like almost like nuggets or gems in your languaging. You can also find them in your posturing. If you are noticing that you're becoming defensive when somebody maybe is, um, you're reading something about them, like maybe they're not being honest with you. Are they telling you everything? Um, is there maybe an old pattern that wants to replay? Like you're prejudging their next forward action or movement or part of the conversation because you have an attachment to how it's been before, right? So those are those little subtle reflectors to show us where we are seeing these traumas still in our language. And then the third is honestly biochemical in our physical body, right? Biochemically, what do our labs look like? Do we have liver issues? Liver is resentment and anger. Do we have lung issues, which is, grief? Dogmatic positioning, kidneys or fear. What's our body saying? So our trauma will be hidden, of course, in the tissues and in the field, the energetic field. So as we look at them, we can say, okay, I notice you, right? Like we talked about in part one, like we notice and we see that it just is, right? It's just there's an isness with it. Um, and part of us that we talked about in part one wants to go and wants to explore because we're being pulled to it because there's a charge with it. It has a charge. Whenever there's this lopsided perception and we're away from neutrality of just the isness, there will literally be, because we're energetic beings, a charge in the system. So it's naturally going to pull us there. Why? To neutralize the charge. So we are there to neutralize the charge, but not magnify the charge. And I think that I'm going to repeat that because that's a very subtle shift into wounded to wizard. Is when you go to visit the charge, are you magnifying the charge or are you neutralizing the charge? Now, there are subtle techniques where you do need to magnify first, but in a very controlled way, right? It's going to be very intentional that we're going to magnify this charge to get to the neutralization of the charge, okay? But if we're not going through that sort of skilled process, we are going to magnify it And that's what, we all know is the classic coffee date conversation with the friends, right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that or she did that or she didn't, blah, blah, lie to you. They're going to perpetuate the charge. So looking in your environment for, are you feeding the charge? Or are you surrounding yourself around practices and people that are neutralizing the charge? Okay. So that's a very tangible way that we can, begin the wizardry process is literally through this awareness of these pieces, the awareness of where the traumas show up, where the lopsided perceptions show up, and where we can go and shift them. So the second the second step is in the second step is where we come into acceptance or appreciation. And I like the word appreciation when it comes to trauma. The reason is because if trauma is a perception and we use acceptance, I feel like a lot of people accept the charge, but they don't neutralize the charge. It's a little trap. It's a trap. It's a different frequency. Now, acceptance has its own purpose for sometimes just accepting that this is in front of me and this happened, okay? Because what a lot of times people want to do is they want to pretend like it never happened, right? As part of, we know that that's part of a coping mechanism with charges, right? Well, I'm just going to ignore the charge, stick it into the closet, put a little, wallpaper on the outside and call it good, right? And we know that that's its own coping mechanism. And so accepting that it's in there and that the charge is there for us. So this is where the famous line, things are on your way, not in your way. If you have a charge, it is actually on your way to evolving. It's on your way to evolution. It's not in your way of evolution. So that's where I like to put the word acceptance in, is we're going to accept that this is on my way. Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to appreciate it. So there's like two parts to the A. Appreciate that this is here for a reason, like we just said, and appreciate that this is an opportunity for me to go and discover something. Because if there was a charge in the first place, the body and the mind and the psyche is searching for its opposite. Okay? So this is why you'll attract more trauma, right? You keep attracting it when the charge is open because it just keeps searching for its other half to come in. Okay. So we already do that to neutralize. We're already doing that as our satellite outward to move forward in evolution. And so the bigger the charge, the more you attract, or the more intense the attraction, right? So the more it keeps coming, the more we keep saying, well, I need to go to my therapist. I need to unpack this trauma. I need to do this. And the truth is that, remember, we can do that, but we want to be very intentional with that, because if we're focusing on the charge again, on the one side that's attracting the other side, if we keep focusing on this, we're actually going to keep attracting more, and then we're going to keep attracting more to process. Okay? Which is why I feel for some people in some therapy systems, we talk about, over therapized, is that the word? Or, we're continually in therapy forever because we're just not ever looking at this particular charge in the first place. Okay. So when we can see that and appreciate it, then we can move to the third step of wizardry school, and that is action. Now, the action step in wizardry school has really come a long way because it's 2025, almost 2026, and we have so many tools available to us in wizardry school now. We have a list that I would like to actually list off because I feel like a lot of people don't, we're always looking for new ways to be wizards, right? And new new things to try. And so I want to list off some of them that I know of so that if somebody hasn't heard of one of those, they can maybe look into it. Um, so the first one I would like to say is the one that I started with way back in the day, which is the quantum collapse work, which is Dr. DiMartini and the DiMartini Institute. He still teaches that work around the world. You can look up the DiMartini, just like the word martini with DE in front of it, DiMartini Institute. And he does, I think they're still called breakthroughs, but he may have evolved the name by now. But he will literally neutralize any perception anyone has, no matter how extreme the trauma. He is probably one of the oldies in the industry, one of the pioneers of this work. So that's one way. Another way is through muscle testing systems that enter the subconscious, such as neuroemotional technique. Neuroemotional technique is a technique that if you have a master's or above, you can learn it. So there are a lot of people that are even listening to this call that you can go and get trained in neuroemotional technique. It was started also by a chiropractor, years ago, almost probably 30 years ago, maybe more. And it's a muscle testing system that goes in and talks to the body in all three areas. So it talks to the body in mental, emotional, and structural, your physical body, basically, your mental body, and your emotional body. Okay. But when you go do that, you can neutralize charges very quickly. So I, in fact, just had NET done yesterday. To give you an example of NET with my husband, who's a longtime practitioner. And I kept attracting negative energies, like entities, and we keep needing to clear them and clear them. And I'm like, why am I continually attracting this? Right? Again, awareness that this is happening, acceptance that okay, I keep doing this. There's something here. Let's go in the closet. Appreciation. Thank you. I'm glad this is happening because this is going to bring me further into my evolution because it's here. I have something to learn. And so I went into the session with him, and we had no idea that was going to come up, by the way. We went in with me being very tired. I'm like, I'm so tired today. I've been doing really well, and I'm so exhausted. I just feel like something very deep in me is just so heavy. And so we put my arm up and we used muscle testing, which is like applied kinesiology. And he went through the points and he said, it goes back to when you were age, I think it was 10. And when I was 10 years old, my brother had a bedroom down the hall. And I remember waking up almost nightly and I would see entities and energies walking in the hallway. And so, of course, I told my therapist back then, I mean, I didn't get any tools, my family counselor, and they were terrifying to me. And I was like, why are they here? And how can I make them go away? But what happened is I sort of developed a relationship with them. I sort of was like, I want to help them. I want to help them cross over. I was a little girl that wanted to help my brother, but I couldn't really help him directly. So I was trying to help him by helping them. Right. So that could be defined as a trauma. Right. And so I went further, and in the session, he said, well, what happened? You know, what was the emotion? The emotion, I think, was it oversympathetic? It wasn't oversympathetic. I can't recall the emotion that brought us in there, but you use emotion points to get you there. I had went in then, identified it, brought it up into the conscious mind that this is what I was doing. This makes total sense. And I've been doing this for decades, guys. I've been doing it for decades. And so thank goodness I had fatigue yesterday because I wouldn't have been able to go and bring this, right, and be curious and figure out what's going on. So I pulse pointed it, which you'll find a pulse point and you'll put it on your emotion points on your forehead. You breathe it through. And I felt just like the world just got lighter. I was like, this is so weird. even me doing this for 25 years, I still find it phenomenal. And like it's so wild. So neuroemotional technique is just another example. There are a lot of therapists around the globe that do NET, a lot of hypnotherapists and a lot of chiropractors, a lot of naturopaths too, I would say, and acupuncturists, but um, they don't have to just be a chiropractor, even though it was started by chiropractic. Okay, so that's one of the ways in which we can be a wizard. Another way is, well, and another way are things like EMDR, right? But EMDR does not tap into the other elements. It only taps into one lane. It's only going to do a one lane track where things like NET and some of the other things I'm going to mention, they're going to incorporate the whole matrix of it. Does that make sense? Where EMDR is going to just look at neutralizing just the thought, but it might not necessarily have the depth of neutralizing it from the body. Okay, it's one track that can work very powerful for people, but sometimes that can be limited. And then another one that we can use is that I have not used myself, but I've heard a lot of. I know Jen has told me about it too, brain spotting. Some people are saying that that's coming up and being helpful for a lot of people. I can't speak any more than that because I've not experienced that one. And then there's things like simple things like re-regulating the mind through Cereset. I don't know if you guys have heard of Cereset. It's CERESET. I was just speaking to somebody about this the other day who this lady that wants to get pregnant. And Cereset is a system that was created where it's relatively new. It came out in like 2019, where you put headphones on and your brain will create okay, so your brain has frequencies, and the frequencies gets picked up by the headphones, goes into this software, comes back through in the form of tones. So you're basically listening to tones the whole time with these headphones on. But these tones are actually your brain waves that you're actually able to hear. And then your innate intelligence, the ultimate wisdom in the body, will hear that and say, well, that's not right. That's a charge. I need to neutralize that. So it will naturally recalibrate. Now, there's a lot of research coming out on this one. Watch and see what happens. I've experienced many sessions of this, probably 20. Over the last decade. So it's something that you do where you do not do anything else. You just do Cereset and that's it. Like you don't do acupuncture, chiropractic. You're really not even recommended to even take like medications unless they absolutely have to be taken because the body needs to hear itself so it can make the correction without you enabling or helping or supporting it in any way. So that's another way to be a wizard. And these are all external things I'm talking about right now, but I kind of wanted to make sure that I cover them. So I wanted to bring them up because I get these questions a lot. Of course, there's other tools where we can release energies out of the body, such as, breath work. And those can be useful as well. So everybody has to find the one that fits and works for them. Now, the last one is the one I wanted to mention was superconscious recode. Of course, Kim knows about the superconscious recode. I think I'm putting her to sleep. The recode is it is where we are going to go beyond the conscious mind. Okay, so it's a little bit like when you think about like Joe Dispenza, where we're talking about going into the super conscious or the realm that connects basically our energy and the one. Okay, so in that field, that is a much larger field than our little tiny field that we have. Okay, and that super conscious can be tapped into, and we can tap into that, and then that can actually rewire and tag and treat traumas and neutralize charges very quickly. In fact, that's probably one of the fastest ways other than NET that I know of. So those are the two that I do just because I like things fast. I like to do fast wizard work because I got a lot of life to live. So I don't like to sit in the charge very long unless it really needs me to. Of course, I'll do that, but I really do tend to act more on the fast scale. Okay. And so if you really want fast things, NET and superconscious recode are definitely something to experience. And so, I'm going to talk at the end of the call how, you could learn more about that if you want to. So before I go to the next piece, does anyone have any comments or questions? No? Everybody's with me? And then people can maybe put, if they have questions, they can just put it in the chat too. I'll try to see. I see that there's just one in there, but I think it's just from before, right? Okay. Ollie, will you let me know if anyone else puts anything in the chat while I'm talking? Okay.
Okay.
So those are external things. So let's kind of go now to how we can do a little bit more wizardry work just in the day to day, when we're going through our moments in life and we can't just, get into an NET session or do some work, right? We're standing at Target or at the supermarket and something happens that triggers us. So in that moment, I love what my favorite way to be a wizard is to, well, first of all, I pop right into that awareness of like, wow, this is so interesting that this person is, let's say they're just getting really, really mad at me at Starbucks. Like they're just so upset because maybe I asked for my drink to be remade. And if I'm noticing that, I'm like, gosh, this is bothering me. Why am I feeling like I want to take up space? Why am I feeling like I want to ask for what I want? And I'm really having a hard time with that. And this person's getting really mad because I'm stepping in and saying, I don't like the drink. I'd like something different. And if I'm in that moment, I know I'm supposed to be in that moment. So my awareness is I drop right into, well, this is happening for me. This is an interesting thing that from my radar that I'm pulling into my world, right? And I look at it and go, I'm so curious. I wonder what it is that is the charge. And I'll sit with it. And usually I can find it pretty quickly. And in that scenario, for me, knowing me, it probably would be like, I'm so high maintenance because that is something that I tend my behavior when I'm my full essence a lot of times triggers other ones to say, you're so high maintenance. You can't just accept a drink that's like, it's good enough. It's good enough, right? Let's get going. And I'm like, no, it's not good enough. It has like 2 pumps of syrup in it. I don't want any syrup. No, I want it remade, right? And so I'm annoying people, right? So my charge is you're so type A and you're so annoying. And when you step into like, you're so picky, right? All of those little words. And so I'll sit with that and go, okay. So if those are the tapes that I'm playing, right? Or as I know that Tina talks about, the mom's voice, the voices in our heads, right? Those are the voices that I have. I wonder what I could say to them. And so if I'm going to be in my charge, the wounded, I'm really going to focus and notice that I cannot let go of this charge. Like my kids are trying to say, it's okay, get your drink remade, let's get going, we're late. And I'm like, I can't shake this. I'm just really mad. Right? And I'm noticing it's not going anywhere. My stuff isn't working. I can't just like take a breath and count to 10 and do all my, EFT tapping or whatever I'm doing, right? And I'm still upset. I'm like, all right, there's more here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll say, all right, if I am in as the wizardry work, if I have noticed this charge and this person is happening, she's speaking really loud. I will say, what is the opposite of that? What is the opposite of her? What's the opposite of her? It's the one that stands poised. Like we see all of the images, right, through posters and, cards that we draw, like oracle cards. This very powerful goddess who just knows what she wants, right? That's the opposite. The opposite is this woman that just stands just as she is without justifying to anyone why she wants her drink remade, right? Any of that. So I will immediately close my eyes. You can tell I do that a lot, but I do that a lot because it keeps me, I recalibrate that way. It helps me to stay centered and not get caught in the external world a lot. So I'll close my eyes and I'll say, I want to tap into her frequency. And I will call her in to help me because my yammering monkey mind over here, she's going pretty strong. And I know she's got a charge and she wants to be neutralized, right? Or she wouldn't come up. But here's the difference. I'm going to neutralize it myself. Most people want the other person to neutralize it for them. Okay. So most people want the person at Starbucks or their partner or their daughter to neutralize it for them. And then they get mad because they're like, but they're not neutral. They're not like, they're still acting like that. They're not respecting me, that I want my drink remade or whatever it might be. But the truth is, guys, is that when you're the wizard, nobody needs to change. Nobody needs to change. There's nothing to change. There's no problem to fix. It's just a charge that wants another half. It needs the other side. So that's where I love this in my limitless circle, in my limitless work. We play with this, and this is the juice of the juice. This is where the magic of the wizardry really comes from in shamanic training, in a lot of mind work, in a lot of human behavior work. It is right in that moment that you have the power. You are empowered that you can neutralize the charge without anyone else. You don't need anyone else to change or shift or or do anything differently. Okay? You just literally can do it by finding the opposite of the voice and then calling that in to the now, right now, in present mind consciousness. And so when we can neutralize that by calling that in, we have to act as if a little bit. This is where people talk about that, right? You have to act as if, or you have to be the future version of yourself, or you have to be able to embody that future identity. This is what they're talking about. You bring that in, and when you tag that charge and you reel it in and you bring it in, then now for me in my Starbucks scenario, I can open my eyes and go, I'm going to be that. I'm going to anchor to that goddess. And I might be in that goddess energy for a few seconds and everyone else is still carrying on, but I've yet to have that happen. It's funny because when I've done that, immediately when I open my eyes, everybody else has shifted. The person that's mad is no longer mad. And they might even say, gosh, you know what? I'm just having a really bad day. I'm so sorry I did that. And what I say to them is I say, thank you very much. You gave me a great opportunity today. And I hope you have a better day. You're an amazing person. And I leave, right? So that person is giving me the gift. That person is giving me a gift. And if every time we look at something happening to us as a great gift of discovery, we become the great magician and a great alchemizer. That is what alchemizing is literally that exact action. And that if you're spiritual and you believe in a higher power, if you believe in God, that's when God, you're calling in that other part of you, and you can even call conscious creator in. God, please tag and treat this charge and help me to see this neutral. And as we do that, no matter what stories come up from the past, no matter, because the past is over, guys, right? It's over, but it's not over in our psyche. We keep playing it out, like I said at the beginning of this call. And so as we keep playing it out over and over again, like a broken record, the wizardry is the decoding of that and the tagging of those, finding those charges and neutralizing them, which is really no different than getting wellness in your body, right? Because it's the same. It's all the same. The charge either affects you psychologically, physiologically, or really both, but one of them's going to talk to you more than the other. So for some people, they might have great perceptions in their mind about the world and they really can move through things quickly, but their body's talking to them more. And for some people, it's both. And for some people, it's their body. They get the clean bill of health. And it's just in the mind, though, they are really, really struggling. And that's where their suffering is with these traumas. So, in part of what I just said, in part one, we talked about the mandala. And that's a little bit like step two, where you are going to exactly what I talked about at Starbucks, where we're pulling in the opposite of whatever our mind is telling us. You can pull in also from spirit world, you can pull in support. But the intention of the support isn't necessarily to give the charge away, because is energy is you can never get rid of energy. Energy is just transmuted, it's just transformed. So really what we're asking for is a neutralization of the charge. Okay, so because the earth is such a grounding element, for an elemental force, and so is the ocean, right? It's part of the earth. Anything, trees, grass, soil, dirt. Anytime we can anchor into the negative ions in the earth, a lot of times those charges that we have can be neutralized very quickly. So that's why a lot of ancient traditional medicines have used the earth, because we're using it because they understood and knew on some level that the energy needs to be anchored, rooted, grounded. They'll even use those words because it needs to be brought back and neutralized. So Aliyah shared her mandala. Again, you can go back to part one if you want to. But this was her mandala that she did. And it looks like you were saying very simple. She's like, well, but it's so simple, right? Or it's just very quick. You had used the words to put it together. But really, it wasn't quick because she was taking time to go out and gather the leaves and maybe be thinking, and maybe for since the first call, all of those days until you actually put this to the earth, on some level in your field, this has been cultivating. This mandala has been birthing inside. And so what you did is you did the last step, which is the action step of just literally placing the leaves onto, it looks like, is that the grass? Yeah, it looks, is
No,
that,
no, Barb, this is not exactly the grass. This is like a
what is it?
bush.
Oh,
And
yes, I see
and
that.
yeah,
Okay.
when I'm thinking about it, maybe now the wind will blow away all the leaves, and I think there is this action that I subconsciously want into my mandala. This
Yes.
is
The
what I
wind.
was
Like the
thinking.
wind
Yeah,
element, you mean? Like to carry?
yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes. So see, intuitively, you just built it higher, right? For that.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
why there's no rules, because we can't have rules on the mandala, because then we're not, that robs your power, right? We need you to have the power to trust that whatever you're being guided to do is to do that. Um, but it's a process where we are taking our charges really to spirit and to the earth is really what it is in the most basic form. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really felt like a process that I needed to go through. And it seems like super simple, but the process sometimes it's simple. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it takes time. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and that's just it. Everything is very simple and easy. It's just the accumulation of the simple and easy, right? It's
Mm.
the that's what meeting each moment is, right? We meet each moment, and if we really just break life down to that, where we just meet everything in the moment, it really is just simple. It's when we
Yeah,
make it
it's
as the
also
big thing.
another subconscious belief that I have because we share the same belief. I mean, maybe lots of other people, but for me, it's very important when you do a transformation to be simple and easy. And I guess I put this subconscious belief into my mandala as
Mhm.
well.
Yes, yes. And if somebody has one that things are really heavy and dense, and maybe it's something raw, like maybe they recently went through like a divorce or something happened, a death of a family member, whatever trauma they're feeling or whatever charges are going on in their body, if it needs to be bigger, they can do that. They can use, but intuitively, they're probably going to grab, like maybe they'll grab a big, um, something larger or more dense, or it's going to have, maybe it'll be a different color, like black. It's going to talk to you, and just like a little kid, you just literally go in. And this is such a great way to bring in our inner child, is we kind of have them come in and help us and say, well, we're in the forest. What should we grab? Like, let's go grab it, and not be thinking, because this is the medicine of this work. The prefrontal, the frontal, the thinking process of the brain isn't where any of the answers lie. So we intentionally just take that off the plate. Just don't even, just let it kind of scheme through, let them just go. It's that part when we're doing the mandala. When the mandala, you're just doing like almost like a meditative state. You're just going in and trying to really just feel what is calling to you. And these practices can be they're amazing practices for when you have a larger thing you're working with, such as, like, let's say a death of a family member, or maybe you're going through a time in your life or a chapter in your life, or like menopause, like Jen was talking about. Like when you're going through menopause, this could be a great asset to you to be a wizard and a magician, and helping that dialogue, the foraging happen, where you're just discovering even which traumas would come up by listening to your verbiage, by listening to how you're talking to yourself. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I'm just gonna bring that in. And we don't have to get so hung up on identifying it to the nth degree. I get that question a lot too, is how specific does it have to be? The specificity, it depends on which technique you use. Back to, if you use like an external technique like NET or EMDR, or superconscious recode. Superconscious recode does not need it to be specific at all. NET does need it to be a little bit more specific, because you got to get the right one. But honestly, it's only if you're using those techniques. If you're just doing it yourself, it's enough to just bring it in, to see its opposite, and then you focus on the opposite. And we did this in the Limitless call, where I was talking about shadow work, and I was saying, we spend a lot of time focusing on the causal charge. We really do. We don't realize it, but we really do. And all of us do, and to different magnitudes. And when you can just really have that reflected to you and mirrored back, and you can shift that. I know one of my members had a really big aha moment. She's been doing, inner work, as she said, for decades. And all of a sudden, she's like, oh my gosh, the last week, I have literally just been focusing on the light instead of the shadow. And I can't believe how different things are. And I said, because that's where we kind of get in a little bit of a trap, where we want to unpack. It's kind of like cleaning our house. I want to unpack everything. I want to get everything perfect. I want to like go and like clean everything out. And then I can have this. And then I'll be happy. And then my life will look good. And then I'll be lighter. And then I'll be healthier, whatever it might be, right? But the truth is that if we just leave the stuff there, the dirt and the stuff, the suitcase with stuff in it, And we go over here and we pull in the light and we focus on the light, which is just, focusing on our higher self, focusing on the opposite of everything the suitcase is saying, focusing on the good. Then all of a sudden we turn and the suitcase itself just, it honestly, this goes to that and it neutralizes it and it takes care of itself way faster. And it's way more liberating, way more powerful, way more joyful. And it's something that I feel in the, awakening era, if you want to call that, right? We're kind of in an awakening era. And as we're in this awakening era, a lot of people are focusing on the suitcases. Would you not agree with that? Like they're like, well, we have to, they do it in marketing too, right? They'll always talk to your pain point. Okay. We're always scrolling and hearing about all the pain points because that's how everybody's selling us on stuff, right? We're constantly focusing on the pain points. And the truth is that the one you're going to probably be the most magnetized to is the one that's talking and living the light. You're probably going to be like, oh my gosh, she has that. She has that. There's something about her, right? And that's the magnetism because the pain points are there for awareness in the three steps, right? For us to be aware that, oh my gosh, this is what I'm saying. That's me. Yes, she understands me. But if we're keeping on with the pain points, we really never are getting over to that light and bringing the light in. And then the light will illuminate the shadow and it just, it just evolves very fast, very quickly. Those are the moments when you have the aha moments, when you have you just feel it. You just feel it sink inside of you. It's because you brought in the light into the moment. And that is where the people I spoke about with the techniques, that's what they're doing, is they're neutralizing that way. So that happens very quickly. I mean, I've witnessed people with very severe traumas. I mean, I could go on probably in a book about all the deep traumas that they showed up to these with, to like, for example, the DeMartini Institute, and things that even in my mind, as I'm listening to the person, I'm thinking, how are they going to get over this? Right? Like, that's a really big one. Well, I don't know, Dr. John DeMartini. This one's a really big trauma. I'm skeptical. I don't think this one can go, right? Like, I'm totally like feeling that way when I went through the training. And he worked with them. And after probably, sometimes it took 3 hours, but after some time, the person literally was shifted. Like literally, they no longer had that trauma. One was a man, I just remember, that had lost millions of dollars. His partner had, um, I think it was even like injured his spouse and took all of his money. I mean, it was like the list was quite long, and I was thinking, this man's never going to get over this. Like, how are you going to do that? Are you going to do one at a time? No, he just went in and took the whole, brought him back to the situation, and he neutralized it. And you can follow his work. He's out there, on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, but he's quite fascinating to watch when he walks somebody through a quantum collapse process. I cannot do it like he does. But I definitely have, some of the basics that I just know how to identify it, really quickly, the charges. I can see them very fast because I've watched him over and over and over again do it so many times. Um, okay. So any questions? Anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, Barb, what I wanted to share is, yeah, it's very in alignment with what you said at the end. But at the beginning, I was thinking awareness and acceptance. Of course, they are very important, but I feel that they're like just steps that we just move through. And then I really love the appreciation part. I think it's a very complicated part for people because in appreciations, I hear a lot to be grateful, to see the positive, to see the light in it. And I think this is super important to move on. and then you're ready to do the action, whatever action you want to do. But I think the biggest shift is in this appreciation part where, and we are not trained to, I say trained, but we are not like our parents don't give us
Mm-hmm.
the code, they don't train us that we can appreciate everything in life
Mm-hmm.
because everything is here. Because even when they teach us, like, teach your child to be grateful every evening for a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they need to be grateful for the whole day because the whole
Exactly.
day
Yes.
was a lesson. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was amazing
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
we've learned so much. Everything is a lesson. And I think this shift is, at least even from the beginning, this appreciation part is like really to feel grateful, to feel in abundance, to love your life. And from there, it's very easy, I believe, to do the action because you're grateful, you're happy, you have it
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was
Yes.
what was coming up for
Yes.
me.
It's so funny. This is so wild because I will
Yeah.
say this because Dr. DeMartini, I was just talking about him, and then you mentioned this, and that's exactly gratitude is the doorway to the heart, right? Attitude of gratitude. And that's what he had always talked about. When you really neutralize every moment, there's no moment to not be grateful for. Every single moment contains celebration, but our minds are making up a lot of stories around it. And so it's interesting that you bring that word up, just as I'm also speaking about his essence, because that is very much what it is about. It is about seeing all of the things to be grateful for, and that all of it is to be grateful for. What we have a hard time with that, I think, also because we weren't trained, we have to embody that a little bit ourselves before we can show that to our kids, but we can learn with them, right
Mm.
along with them. Kind of like I was learning, with the guy going, "Well, how's he going to help him with this trauma? This one's a really big one." Wow, I'm learning right along with this guy, but we both were getting help during that moment. So we can do it with our kids. We can do it along with our spouse, with people around us. Trying to again focus the light where it needs to go. And again, in my limitless, we were talking about that too. Like, where can we put the light on the right spot in every moment with a mantra? Because things are going to happen because we're still have charges. We're in a duality. We're in a dualistic environment where there's going to be charges in a day. But if we can kind of go with the wizardry idea of like, oh, I'm just going to see which ones show up today, and let me just be grateful for each and every one of them, and see what they have to offer. And I know at the end, I'm going to just be like farther connected to my essence than I was at the beginning of the day. But who are the helpers going to be today to help me discover that? Right? That's a very different mentality than I need help getting my help. I need help because I've had so much trauma. The wounded voice will sound so different than the wizard voice, but really the existence is the same. That's why two human beings can have the same experience, but their memory of the experience is going to be completely different, right? So, but with that said, I would like to, let people know I'm shifting my limitless circle. Again, it's evolving. Kim, I know you're a part of it, and Aliyah, you were a part of it too, for a long time. And so the limitless circle, I have decided through a lot of meditation and my own work that I love, love, love coaching women to be in their full power. It's such a juicy spot for me because it helps me also dial into mine, right? We have so much potential. There's so much there. And I feel that I had it as just a once a week sort of lower cost investment. And as I've been in it, I'm like, no, I love the coaching. I love having people be able to message me privately and have me get back to them right away. Like, Kim, I was just responding to you in South Africa with something with her mom. And it's just everything, right? Everything in life. And right there to let's walk it through the next step. Let's bring that light in now because I have a pet peeve about waiting. It's like, oh, well, let's wait till the call on Monday. I'm like Monday, that's like light years away from now. Like, who knows what's going to happen between now and Monday? Good Lord, you know? So it's like, I want to be able to go quickly. And so, because of that, I am going to be increasing my price so that we can do that, and also include my husband's work of the superconscious recode because that has been so powerful. Because what it's doing is it's one of those main action steps that very quickly can neutralize charges very fast. And so yeah, so if people want to join the new version of Limitless, they can sure get a hold of me. You can just email me. My website is Transcend with Barbara, but I say but some of my links are being really goofy. So I would just say if you go on there and you read about it or you want to know more about it, you just send me an email, send me a message on WhatsApp, whichever, and I can, let you know more about it so that, yeah, you can continue to grow if that resonates with you in a very fun way with other women. Uh,
Thank you, Barb. It was a very, very beautiful call, like really interesting. I love it.
yeah.
And yeah, so maybe
It was really
they
great. Sorry, I have a little jet lag.
That's okay. You're taking
Sorry,
it
Alia.
in. You're taking it in on some level.
Yes, definitely. It was really good though, Bob.
Kim's going to be listening to me. We have our limitless call today. So it's at 1 o'clock. So it's she hears me a lot too. So you know a lot of what I talk about. And do you want to comment on anything
Yeah.
with that before we hang up about limitless? Like what that's been like for
No,
you?
Limitless has been a huge has had a huge impact in my life. And Bob, you're really good at doing all of that, helping us step into our power and things like that. And yeah, no, I've learned so much, and I really appreciate being in your group. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I love my ladies. So
We love you too.
all right. Well, thank
so
you for having me, Aliyah.
Barb,
Yeah.
if new people want to join you, they're going to email you. They
Mhm.
will find the email on your website.
Yep.
And do you have an idea how often are you going to do the meetings from now on?
Oh, well,
Or
I'm going to do them once a week, but the investment's going to go up because I want to do more. I'm going to cap it at a number. I'm going to cap it. My first cap is going to be 10 women because
okay,
I have spent thousands of dollars on coaching. I think a lot of people listening to this call probably could relate with that, right? Thousands of dollars on coaching. And I have a passion for helping women. I'm going to take everything that I have that I know and condense it down and bring it to them so that we can, again, go quicker and go faster. Oh, thank you. And so I feel that that is crucial to do once a week because we've talked about that in the Limitless group. If it's not once a week, life happens, and we just
I agree with.
slowly unpattern. And I'm all about going fast. Let's stay in the pattern. Let's move forward, and let's stay the course. And if we keep staying the course, we're going to keep growing and expanding and expanding. And yeah. And I look where Jen is today. I mean, she was in Limitless. I mean, look at her. I mean, everybody's just like you were in Limitless, right? Like it's like we want to activate what is within us and really light that up and spread it with the world because that's what I feel like women that are listening to this call, that's what they really want to be doing, right? And that's why we're here in these circles. Yeah. So yes, it would be once a week for an hour. We meet for an hour. And then we have full-time access to people message me all times of the day. And then I get back to them. And keep the finger on the pulse.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barb.
Yes. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Thanks again. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.